Hello everyone. Welcome back to UGC Net Detailed Lectures. The topic of our previous lecture was the movement poetry. Today we are going to discuss the biography of the famous English poet Philip Larkin. Philip Larkin was born in 1922 and he passed away in 1985. Philip Larkin, 1922 to 1985. And we know that he is a movement poet. He belongs to movement poetry. And he is called the Bard of Coventry. That means the poet of Coventry. And he was an English poet, novelist, and a librarian. And Philip Larkin used the pseudonym Brunette Coleman. So remember the point. Philip Larkin used the pseudonym Brunette Coleman. Philip Larkin's poems are highly structured poems. And he wrote in an ordinary colloquial style, quite a reflective tone, ironic understatement, and a direct engagement with a commonplace experiences. So these are the characteristic features of the poetry of Philip Larkin. So remember, his poems are highly structured. Then he wrote in an ordinary colloquial style, which is quite a reflective tone, then ironic understatement, and a direct engagement with the commonplace experiences. And Philip Larkin was a solitary Englishman who disliked fame. He disliked fame. And he was the son of Sidney Larkin and his wife Eva Emily. So the parents of Philip Larkin, Sidney Larkin and Eva Emily. And Philip Larkin had so many lovers during the different stages of his life. So these include Ruth Bowman, Monica Jones, Mav Brennan, Patsy Strang, etc. Ruth Bowman, Monica Jones, Mav Brennan, Patsy Strang. These are women associated with Philip Larkin. Philip Larkin survived the bombings of the Second World War. During Second World War, he survived the bombings. And he was educated at home until the age of 8 by his mother and sister. And his first published poem was Ultimatum. Ultimatum was the first published poem of Philip Larkin. And his first book of poetry was The North Ship, which was published in 1945. So you should remember, first book of poetry of Philip Larkin was The North Ship, published in 1945. And his second collection of poems, or second book, was The Less Deceived. And the third collection was The Wits and Bearings. The fourth collection, High Windows. So remember, the first collection, The North Ship. Second one, The Less Deceived. Third one, The Wits and Bearings. Fourth one, High Windows. And Philip Larkin, besides writing poetry, he was a novelist as well. And he wrote total 5 full-length novels. And his first 2 novels are Jill. Jill was the first published novel of Philip Larkin. You should remember Jill. And the second one was A Girl in Winter. A Girl in Winter. And the first one, Jill. And Philip Larkin wrote a collection of essays titled Larkin at 60. Larkin at 60. It's a collection of essays written by Philip Larkin. And he also wrote a creative manifesto which was titled What We Are Writing For. What We Are Writing For is a creative manifesto written by Philip Larkin. And Philip Larkin's longest and unfinished poem, that is The Dance, is about his romantic interest in the woman Maud Brennan. So remember, Philip Larkin's longest poem is The Dance, which is about his love or romantic or sexual interest towards the woman Maud Brennan. And the usual themes we can see in the poems of Philip Larkin include death and fatalism, religion, melancholy, pessimism, realism, isolation, love, nature, social chaos, alienation, etc. So remember, the themes include death and fatalism, religion, melancholy, pessimism, realism, isolation, love, nature, social chaos, alienation, etc. Philip Larkin was a critic of modernism. We know that movement poetry was totally against the ideas of modernist poetry, especially the poetry of T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound and such modernist poets. So Larkin was a critic of modernism. And he was offered, but he declined the position of poet laureate in 1984. So he declined the offer. After graduating from Oxford University, Larkin became a librarian. So after graduation, he worked as a librarian. Kingsley Amis was a friend of Philip Larkin. So when Philip Larkin was working as a librarian, Kingsley Amis could really observe his experiences. So these, ideas Kingsley Amis used for one of his novels, that is Lucky Jim. So the model for the main character in a Kingsley Amis Lucky Jim is Philip Larkin. Jim Dixon is the main character in Lucky Jim. So this character is based on Philip Larkin. The experience as a librarian is used by Kingsley Amis as an inspiration to write his work Lucky Jim. According to Philip Larkin, deprivation, that means poverty, for him was what daffodils were for Wordsworth. We know that movement poets were against the neo-romantic poetry. They were against the neo-romantic type of poetry. So he says, if daffodils were the inspiration for Wordsworth, poverty, that means deprivation, is the inspiration that makes him write poetry. So Larkin says that deprivation for him was what daffodils were for Wordsworth. Under the pseudonym Brunette Coleman, he wrote two novellas, Trouble at Willow Gables and a Michaelmas Storm at the St. Bride's. So these novellas are written under the pseudonym Brunette Coleman. Remember the names of the novels: Trouble at Willow Gables, and the second one, Michaelmas Storm at St. Bride's. Some of his best-known poems include An Untitled Chapter, The Wits and Warrings, and Here. So these are famous poems of Philip Larkin. An Untitled Chapter, The Wits and Warrings, here. And his final two poems are Obeyed and Love Again. Love Again was the last poem written by Philip Larkin. Obeyed and Love Again. The last two poems written by Philip Larkin. And Philip Larkin died of cancer, a type of mouth cancer, or we can say a type of stomach cancer. And his biography was written by Andrew Motion. So Andrew Motion's biography of Philip Larkin is titled Philip Larkin, A Writer's Life, written by Andrew Motion. Now let's see what the critics have to say about Philip Larkin as a writer. The critic Eric Homburger called Philip Larkin the saddest heart in the post-war supermarket. So according to Eric Homburger, Philip Larkin is the saddest heart in the post-war supermarket. Another critic, Andrew Motion, that means the biographer of Philip Larkin, says that Philip Larkin poems is a very English, glum accuracy about emotions, places, and relationships, according to Andrew Motion. And Lisa Jardine called him a casual habitual racist and an easy misogynist. So Lisa Jardine was disappointed about judging Philip Larkin as a poet, so she observed that Philip Larkin is a casual habitual racist and an easy misogynist. Now let's analyze some of the famous works written by Philip Larkin. A Church-Going, Toads, Maiden Name, Born Yesterday, Lines on a Young Lady's Photograph Album, A Study of Reading Habits, Home is So Sad, Mr. Blaney, This Be the Verse, Annus Mirabilis, The Explosion, The Building, Obeyed, Party Politics, Love Again. So once more, the works written by Philip Larkin. Church-Going, Thoughts, Maiden Name, Born Yesterday, Lines on a Young Lady's Photograph Album, A Study of Reading Habits, Home is So Sad, Mr. Blaney, This Be the Verse, Annus Mirabilis, The Explosion, The Building, Obeyed, Party Politics, Love Again. So that's all about Philip Larkin. In the next class, we will meet again with our next topic, that is Transcendentalism.